See there? Don't press the red button. It'll say REC on it.
Yeah, it says REC.
Now, do you see?
Yeah.
Now?
Uh-huh.
Finally. There, Kyle, look at yourself.
He experienced something, I think, as a young child that was life-changing. I think he felt dominated, and at that time, I think his whole perspective on humans changed. There was a neighborhood boy, I think, if I recall correctly, he was 13, and Robert was around 10 at the time. And the young boy started trying to lure him over to an abandoned building in their neighborhood, and first let him in. It was like a grooming process, I think, that happened with Robert. And he ended up molesting Robert, and then it would progress, and he would defecate on Robert and try to make him be the total submissive. And I can't help but believe when he was telling this that there was a turning point, even at his young age, around 10, that changed his entire life at that time. And he said he was so humiliated he didn't reach out for help. He didn't tell his parents or a sibling or anything. And I think that changed him forever at that young age. It's not an excuse by any means, but I think that was a turning point for him.
I mean, you refer to him in the book as Tommy, this very negative impact, but very graphic fetish type events. If Yates is telling the truth, it's pretty... How could it traumatizing to have to go through that with, while you're 10?
is found this afternoon only a mile from the shallow grave of a murderer.
And sheriff's deputies uncover another dead body just south of Spokane.
Authorities discover a dead body just a mile.
The body was just off the roadside underneath a pile of...
This after more than a dozen prostitutes have been found murdered since 19...
Well, as a Christian myself, we've talked in great detail about it, but at one time he said he really made a pact with the devil, and that's when he was at his lowest. And I don't think until he was fully incarcerated and knew he wasn't getting out did he turn to that, which you hear a lot of that. In no way am I being judgmental. I think anything can happen for anyone, but I think he might not have had that conversion if he had not been imprisoned.
Right. Interesting. So it was while he was in prison, it gave him time to ruminate. But
right.
When he made a pact with the devil, was it something very conscious that he was he into that kind of more occultism? I didn't understand. I didn't see that in your book.
It's towards one of the last chapters when he's talking more in depth, word for word. And he said one night he woke up and he was laying in bed with his wife, and he started praying to Satan that if Satan would give him all the power on this earth to allow him to have total dominance over women, he would forever, be a follower of the devil. And at that time, he said he almost felt like, even though he had already committed murders and did awful things, that it was compounded. And he felt unstoppable. And that was his words, and I always found that intriguing, as some of the other ones I've talked with at that moment, they feel unstoppable. And that was the moment where he kind of climaxed with some of his kills getting closer together there in Washington State.
Right, and you had written in the book that he was a frequent purveyor of prostitutes, and that he had killed, many of them month after month, but you had written that he had been with some of them multiple times, like 400 women over a short period of time. It seemed like 3 or 4 years. I mean, so he was very active, in that. Yeah.
They were doing a lot of drugs together. He was doing a lot of cocaine and things, meth related, so to speed him up. And at that time, he said even some of the prostitutes he would get with, he might not have sex, but they would do sexual acts together, and then they would do the drugs and sleep for so many hours and then leave, and then he would come back to them.